Hey guys, it's Ben Seong. Now I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about post-diet struggles. Now this topic actually has been on my mind for some time. I've been wanting to talk about it because I receive a lot of questions about dieting and how to combat post-diet struggles really on a daily basis. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today, and I want to give you guys some strategies really on how to overcome these particular struggles, whether it's a mental perception that you might have, whether it's a physical solution that you can implement to overcome, whether it's your hunger or your cravings. We're going to talk about that today. So it's going to be a great YouTube episode. Stay tuned for this one. When we talk about diets, I think a lot of us do struggle not just with the dieting itself. A lot of us struggle with what we do after the diet, which is really the post-diet struggle. And I want to address that because it seems to be like the white elephant in the room. There's so much information, so many courses out there, so many individuals preaching about different dietary trends. These trends may work for them. You may try it on yourself, however, they may not actually give you the results that you may be looking for. But in the process of doing that, you have dieted. And in doing so, at the end of that period of dieting, you may have a struggle. And this struggle is the same for anyone embarking on a new diet, or if you are a competitor, a physique competitor, a bodybuilder that is competing for a show, you would realize that the struggle is real. And at the end of your show, at the end of a photo shoot, at the end of your diet, what do? There will be overwhelming physical and emotional feelings that you would face that no one talks about. And a lot of the times when it's buried, a lot of individuals tend to manifest in eating more foods. They also tend to balloon up, which means that they increase their caloric count, and all of a sudden they start to store a lot more water and fat. Their body balloons out, and it doesn't give them the look that they want. So instead of retaining a particular physique or state of health based on a particular diet, these individuals have actually rebounded and gone the opposite direction. So these are kind of the post-diet struggles. Now, when you're on a diet as well, we tend to label foods as clean foods. So you're eating clean. That means you're eating certain foods that will stick to what the diet enables you or encompasses. Now, once you finish the diet though, what happens to the rest of the foods? Are you meant to stick to those particular foods throughout, or are the rest of the foods deemed bad foods or unclean foods? And I think this is a big problem because this builds a bad relationship that we would have with foods itself. I think it's very important that post-diet, we need to look at ways on how to better our relationship with foods. Is this food actually bad for us? Or is it just for the fact that you use certain foods to help you reach a certain goal through your diet, but the rest of the food groups can be taken in? It's knowing when to take in and how much of it to take in. So this is where I feel that relationship with food, or having a better understanding and a connection with food, is extremely important. A structure will help you well. So what I mean by structure is, for me, learning to introduce certain foods back is very important. However, when you do so, you also want to understand how your body may react with certain foods. So every week, you may choose 4 to 5 different foods that you introduce back into your diet again. But when you do that, I think it's extremely important to notice how your body may feel with it. Remember, if you've stayed off these foods for a certain period of time, suddenly introducing all back at once may do you more harm than good. So take your time structurally to introduce these particular foods back. Say, for example, if you stayed away from breads for an extended period of time, and now you're introducing breads back again, all of a sudden, is it bad? Is it good? It's neutral at this point of time. It's only bad or good on how your body reacts to it. So once you take in a pizza, for example, if you suddenly get bloated with a pizza, you may feel that, hey, that may not be the food that I want to introduce back. I may have it occasionally, but the way it makes me feel right now is probably not positive. So that food may not do you any positive. You might want to put that away. Say you introduce back another food like potatoes, for example, because you've been on a low-carb diet, and all of a sudden you feel recharged, you feel great, you feel that your muscles are reglycogenated. Hey, that's a good food group to introduce back. However, take it in steps. Don't go for a kilo of potatoes. Learn how to introduce it back slowly, week by week, and then start to choose the foods that may influence or impact your body positively on a stepwise basis. I think the next point that I want to talk about, probably my last point here as well, is how a diet typically is focused on an endpoint, a goal. You diet for, a particular event, be it a wedding, be it a competition, be it a photo shoot. There's always an endpoint. And then at that particular endpoint, I think a lot of people focus on the means to get there. So they will do whatever it takes, whether it's training and nutrition, to get to the endpoint. But what happens after? And I think a lot of post-diet struggles happen with the feeling of, I'm lost. What am I to do after this diet? And this is where I need you to preempt. Understand prior to finishing the diet that, hey, there will be that endpoint. What are you going to do after? If you love what you have achieved through the diet, you cannot revert back to what you used to do and stay that way. You have to think of a way to make this sustainable if you want to continue. But what is your goal after that? Is it another competition that you're aiming for? Is it the fact that you really want to continue to stay lean? Now, if that is the case, you need to anticipate the steps that you need to take to make that into an ongoing lifestyle. In prepping a lot of competitors, for example, there are seasons for competition. And during these seasons, we understand that during a competition, that's the endpoint for the competitor. A lot of competitors will prep for that endpoint. And then there is the off-season, where they get to introduce more foods, high calories back into their diet. And so there's kind of a wave, but they know their end goal. Their end goal is to better their physique for the next show. So there's always something to aim for. Hence, a lot of competitors don't feel lost until they retire, for example. But if you're a gym goer, you're just trying a diet for a particular purpose, again, what happens after? If you love what you see, you need to plan for the future. You need to plan after that. And that could mean that if you understand that your diet is a lower carb diet, or so some diets quite extreme, a no carb diet, is that sustainable? If it's not sustainable, you need to find ways on how you could stick closer to that diet and actually make it lifestyle. If that is impossible for you, then you may need to re-question your goals in the sense that, are you eating for that particular goal? So these are some of the questions that you do need to confront. I know this is the white elephant in the room. I know that most people don't talk about what happens post-diet, but it's something that will impact, I guess, your mental outlook. Whether you are eating incessantly, because most people think that after a diet, I can afford to eat whatever I want to eat and stay that way, that won't happen. You still have to watch your food. You still have to watch, how you're recovering, how you're training in order to sustain the results that you have gotten through that dietary plan itself. So start to plan ahead. Start to think about what your goals are. Start to write them down. It's important to make those goals objective. And once you can see it, you can start to plan ahead and visualize what you may need to do. And if you know that it is sticking very close to the original diet that you had, then you've got to work your head around it because it cannot be a sacrifice anymore. In fact, this has to become a lifestyle for you. The more you learn to make it a lifestyle, the easier it is for you to stay that way. So again, it's a mental shift, a paradigm shift of whether that is a sacrifice or a lifestyle. And if you do that, you cannot be complaining every day because you're just going to make your life a lot more difficult for yourself. So more than anything, I really hope that these particular points would have provoked some thought into how you approach your strategies post-diet. It is something that we all struggle with. However, if you are effective in applying certain thought processes and objective actions, it makes it a lot easier for you to overcome this to move into your next phase, whether it's a new diet or a lifestyle plan itself. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to today's YouTube. I hope this has been extremely beneficial for you. If you have anything to add, make sure you put it in the comment section below, or any questions that you might like us to address, make sure you do that. I will see you next time in our next YouTube video.